welcome back for episode number 110 of the weekly playback. Just 90 more to go until we get to 200, which is a lot. So that's like almost like 2 years actually. So it's gonna be a while before we get to 200, but it's just fun to see the numbers go up. But anyway, so I just have a couple of lighter games to talk about this week. And it's been super hot. There's been like a heat wave over here. So I do have the AC running in my bedroom, which is just across the hallway, and hopefully some of that will blow into this room because I didn't want to keep the AC on in my game room because they're window units and they're very loud. So hopefully I will not melt during this video, but if I do start melting because of all these lights, just forgive me if I start melting away while I'm shooting this video. So anyway, so let's just get started. Let's talk about Cities. So Cities is a 2024 game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Steve Finn and Phil Walker Harding, and the art is done by Jorge Tabanera Redondo, and it's published by Devere Games. And this is a city building tile laying game, and this is a review copy that I received from Devere. Absolutely love this game. I played a 4-player game of this last night. If you have ever played the Princes of Florence, I would say it's kind of like an easier version of that. An easier, quicker version, not as complicated as the Princes of Florence. There's obviously a lot more going on in that game, but this is just a really great tile placement city building game if you are looking for one. So this is the main board, and there are going to be different cities that you can have for the public objectives. So here is going to be the main board, and I will throw a picture. So here you're going to have like goal cards, and you'll be picking up 1 goal card per round. Here you're going to have city tiles. Here you're going to have feature tiles, and here you're going to have building pieces. And again, I'll just show you the different kinds of cities that it comes with. So each game will play differently because you have different city boards that you can use. So last night we played with Barcelona, because that's a city I've been to, so I wanted to play with Barcelona. On the reverse side, you have Buenos Aires, Argentina, you have Sydney, and on the reverse side of Sydney, you have Mexico City, and then you have Lisbon, which is another city I've been to. I've also been to Venice, which I really thought was kind of overrated, to be honest. I think you could spend like 1, maximum 2 days in Venice and then be done with it. And then there's New York City, and then Rio de Janeiro. So those are the cities. So you will have various public objectives to choose from. So that will vary the game each time you play. And then there are some city tiles. So each person starts with a city tile, a starting city tile. And throughout the game is played over 8 rounds, so you will end up adding 8 more tiles to your grid, and by the time you finish, you will have a 3x3 grid. So it must be 3x3. So anytime you place a new tile, it must be adjacent to a tile you've previously placed, and of course, it needs to be in a 3x3 format. So for example, if this is a starting tile, because the back is grayed out, so if I place this, I could not place this like this. That would be an illegal placement. It would have to go along one complete edge. So the green areas are parks, the white, the blue areas are water, and then the gray kind of areas are city blocks. So those are the 3 types of areas that you will have in your completed city when you are done. Each person has several meeples as well as an objective tracker, like those empty circles, and then a point tracker. Honestly, I think this game could have done with a score pad rather than a point tracker around the board, but maybe I'll make up my own score pad. Because you don't actually even end up keeping a score until the very end. That's when you add up your points. So, and here are various feature tiles. So features, can be placed on water, like for example, this little island, this boat. You can have features in your parks, such as this like food stand. You can have, here's a special kind of feature. So if you place this, you would cover up a city block that you have that's existing, and now it's a wild, so you can place any color building on that spot now, and it doesn't have to match. And then there are special monuments, which will just straight up give you 2 points, like this one, for example. Maybe it's upside down. No, it was the correct way. So you have a bunch of feature tiles as well. And so I'm going to show you a picture. So you'll see that in each area, there's going to be a certain number of things. So for example, in the bottom area, you are going to have For example, here you'll have 4 building pieces. Here you'll have 3 building pieces, 3 building pieces, and then here there will be no building pieces, because there, if you place your worker there, you would get to draw from the bag 2 random pieces. And here is where the feature tiles go. So 2, 1, 1, 1 plus one that's going to be upside down. This city tile will be upside down, and this objective card will be upside down. So again, you can look at the picture. So on your turn, in turn order, and you know, the starting player will have this cool star, which when it sits on the table, it's pretty cool. It's kind of at an angle. It's just a cool starting marker. So the starting player is going to start by taking their meeple and placing it in one of the 4 sections to get one of those 4 things. So either an objective card, which will be present. So again, you're going to have several, you'll have 3 face-up objectives and 1 face-down objective, which you don't know what you would be getting. There's going to be city tiles laid out. So again, 3 face-up, 1 face-down, and then those feature tiles and building pieces. So at the beginning of the round, you would fill in all those building pieces, spaces we talked about, and then the last one, if someone places a meeple there, they would get to draw 2 blindly from the bag, so you don't know what you would be getting. So the first player is going to place their meeple in one of the 4 areas to take one of the 4 things. Once you've placed a meeple in an area, you cannot go to that area again, because everyone is going to get each thing in that round. So everyone is going to end up getting an objective card. Everyone is going to end up getting feature tiles, 1 or 2 or however many. Everyone is going to end up getting building pieces. Everyone is going to end up getting a city tile. So once you've placed your meeple in a row, you cannot place your meeple in that row again, because you have taken your thing for that round. So you're going to continue going around and around, choosing what you want. So, you know, for example, I could decide in my first turn of that round that I want a city tile. Then player number 2 might decide they actually want to go for an objective card. Player number 3 might decide they want to go for some building pieces. So you don't necessarily have to put your meeple in the same row as someone else, but only one of your meeples per row. So by the time that there are 3 meeples in each row, then you know what is going to be left over for you. So, you know, for example, there was one time where I almost made a really dumb move where there were 3 meeples already in the city tile row, and I had an option between picking a city tile and something else on my turn, and I very stupidly put my meeple in the city tile space, which I shouldn't have done because I already knew which one I was going to get since I was the last one to pick from that row. So then my friend was like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually I don't." So I'm glad he pointed that out to me, because that would have been a really, really dumb move, because obviously the last city tile in that row was going to be mine, because no one else could put their meeple there again and collect 2 city tiles. So you're going to end up getting one of everything. So you're going to continue in this fashion, just basically adding to your city. You're adding city tiles to your city. You're going to be adding buildings to your city. You're going to be adding feature tiles to the various areas in your city, and you're going to be trying to fulfill your own personal objectives. So when you pick up an objective card, there's all kinds of different objective cards. Like, so for example, this one says 1 victory point per separate park area. So you want separate park areas in your park. This one will give you 2 victory points per building of any color, exactly 3 pieces high. So you can stack building pieces, you know, up on top of each other. If, for example, you pick a building piece and you have nowhere to put it, it would get discarded. It would be removed from the game. So let's just show you some other ones. There, I had one which was I would get I got 6 victory points for a building that was 4 pieces high. Where is that one? I can't find it, but I had a card. Yeah, here was one. So this one is like 6 victory points per red building, exactly 4 building pieces high. So as you're going through the game, you're going to be collecting more and more of these objective cards, as well as trying to meet the public objectives. So whenever you meet a public objective on your turn, you will put your ring on that circle, the highest point value one that's still available, to indicate that you have met that objective. So again, each city is going to have different objectives. So in Buenos Aires, which we play, not Buenos Aires, what did we play last night? Barcelona. So in Barcelona, for example, I met 2 of the objectives. I met Barceloneta Beach, which means 1 building of each color adjacent to the same water area. And I also met Ciutadella Park, 1 park area with 3+ feature tiles and 1 water area with 3+ feature tiles. So I met both of those, so I was able to put my rings on those. So at the end of the game, for scoring, So again, you're going to continue in this fashion for 8 rounds until everyone has a total of 9 tiles in their city, and you would also have, you know, collected buildings and feature tiles and objective cards throughout that time. Then at the end of the game, you are going to look at the city achievement board, add up your points from that if you got any. Then you're going to look at your water and park spaces on your board. So for each area of orthogonally connected water spaces in your neighborhood, score 1, 3, 6, or 10 points for 1, 2, 3, or 4 different feature tiles. So that's where you want different feature tiles. For the Barceloneta, for the park over here, those could have been the same feature tiles because it did not indicate. But for the end game scoring, you want different feature tiles. So for example, if you had 2 of the same boats or 2 whale feature tiles in your water park, those would only count as 1 because they're the same. So when it comes to end game scoring, you want different feature tiles. So the more different feature tiles you have in your park and water area for your orthogonally connected water spaces, you will score that many points. So you're going to do that with water and park. Then for any monument feature tiles, you will score 2 victory points. And I showed you the monuments earlier. So those are just the ones that have a monument on them and that just give you straight up 2 points. And then you're going to score your objective cards that you collected throughout the game, and then whoever has the most points will win. It says, in case of a tie, the player with the most victory points from achievements wins. So yeah, so it's a really fun, quick tile placement game. City building game. I really enjoyed it a lot. So I'm really grateful to Devere Games for sending this to me. So again, if you've played the Princess of Florence, I would say it's kind of like an easier version of that. In Princess of Florence, there's, you know, a lot more going on. There's like bidding on various areas to get the various things, but I say it's kind of similar because in Princess of Florence, you cannot bid on the same area twice within a round. So, you know, in the Princess of Florence, you're also trying to collect city tiles, you're also trying to collect various kinds of cards, objective cards, and so on. But in this game, you do not have bidding. You're just basically putting down a meeple in an area that you have not put down a meeple before. But of course, you know, you're trying to get the pieces that you want before someone else gets to them. I really enjoy this game. I think it's a really great small box city building game that I can definitely see myself playing over and over again. I do wish it had a solo mode. I can kind of imagine making up a solo mode for this. Like I would imagine that I would kind of play like a 2-player variant, but maybe roll a die or something like that to indicate what the opponent would want to take, and then I would take the other thing. So I think I'm going to just try creating my own solo mode for this because I really enjoy this and I would like to play it again. But of course, I live alone, so I have to make up a solo variant for this game if I want to play it again. So yeah, so if this sounds like something you're interested in, you should definitely check it out. I don't know if it's released yet. I do recall that I think it was being sold at UKGE, but I'm not 100% sure. Demoed for sure, I think. So yeah, so I'm not sure if it's out yet, but highly recommend this if you're looking for a great small box city building game. So yeah, so that was Cities. So let's move on. Another game I played recently is Agueda, City of Umbrellas. This is a 2024 game for 1 to 5 players, designed by Dustin Dobson and Milan Zikovic, and the art is done by Matt Paquette & Co. and it's published by 25th Century Games. This is a review copy which I received from 25th Century Games. This is a pattern building, worker placement, tile placement game. So in this game, you are going to, and I'll throw up pictures, you'll have one main board, and on the main board, you are going to have an area that will keep track of your score as you go along, because you will need to keep track of your points as you go along. You're going to have umbrellas randomly placed here from the bag. So there's umbrellas of different colors. So let me just show you some of the umbrella pieces. So yeah, so you've got, somehow I did not manage to pick up a green, but there's green, purple, orange, red, blue, and I think those are all the colors. Yeah, and they have different tops to them, so you can if you have trouble distinguishing colors, you can look at the tops to see which colors they are. So for example, the red and the orange, if you have trouble distinguishing those, you can look at the tops to see that they have different patterns on them, which will help you to distinguish the umbrella pieces. So you have different umbrella pieces which will be randomly drawn and put out here, and on your turn I'll go over that when we play, but you're going to select from a diagonal row when you decide, and that might cost you a coin if you take 3, or you might get a coin if you take just 1. If you take 2, it's not going to cost you anything. Here you're going to have some objectives. So that is what you're trying to meet throughout the game. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to randomly select 2 objective cards, which will be placed in the in those starting spaces. And then there's 1 objective that is permanent. So you'll have 2 objectives here, which you're going to draw, and then 1 permanent objective. So the 2 objectives, oops, I picked up the Portuguese cards, or Spanish. Maybe they're Portuguese, I think, because I think this game takes place in Portugal. Where are the English cards? Oh, no. Oh, okay, here are the English ones, I think. Okay, so for example, you might draw these 2. So this one says, score 1 point for each column that has 3 different colored umbrellas with 1 of those umbrellas matching this color. So at the beginning of the game, you're going to randomly place out these umbrella tokens on those cards. So you're going to put, like, for example, 1 token on this card randomly. So now you're going to want to meet this objective with this umbrella color. And then you'll have another one that will have another umbrella color on it. So this one could say something, and these are the ones we played with last night, in fact. Score 1 point for each umbrella in your largest chain of 2 plus adjacent umbrellas in this color. So in this example, you're going to want purple umbrellas in your little area, your street, in an adjacent grouping, and you'll score 1 point per umbrella of that color in your largest grouping. Then the last space, you're just going to add up the number of all the umbrellas you have, and you'll count up all the umbrellas you have, divide that by 2, and that will be your points for the leftover umbrella colors. So in your street, you are going to have umbrellas that you'll be putting down. So let me just show you what a board looks like. So you'll have 2 pieces that comprise your board. So you'll have this and this. So you're going to be, on your turn, you're going to have tourist meeples. So you'll have 3 here and 3 here. The 3 that are going to be placed here, you'll need to earn, because you're going to have mural tiles. Your mural tiles will be upside down, and throughout the game, you're going to be trying to uncover them, because the more pieces you uncover of your mural, the more points you will score. And once you uncover 2 mural pieces in a row, you will then have that tourist meeple available to use. So refer to the picture, because you're also going to have tiles here, which will have 2 umbrella colors on them. So when you pick up umbrella pieces, you're going to put them in 1 single row. And you have to, of course, start from the left side and continue right. So you cannot like jump ahead and put a piece here when there's empty spaces here. Anytime you cover a paintbrush, then you would look at the matching umbrella piece and then uncover that mural tile, like flip it over. So this does not matter which color, like it doesn't, there's going to be tile pieces here. You don't need to have the umbrella color matching the tile pieces here. I will discuss what these are for in a minute. So anytime you cover a paintbrush, you're going to look at which color umbrella you used and then flip over that mural tile. So there are 6 paintbrushes, so you definitely want to get a different color on each of those paintbrushes so that you can flip over your entire mural, because if you do flip over your entire mural, you will get 6 points. If you only flipped over 4 pieces, you would get 2 points. If you flipped over 5 pieces, you would get 4 points. If you flipped over 6 pieces of your mural, at the end of the game, you get 6 points. So you're going to collect pieces and then put them into 1 single row. And then you have tourist meeples. So each person has these like flag kind of tokens, which will be placed out onto your board. And at the start of the game, they're placed according to the mural. So they're going to match the mural. And then after you have placed umbrella pieces, you have the option of having tourists visit that street. So if a tourist or 2 visit that street, you have the option of putting out 1 or 2 tourists. You will score 1 point for each umbrella. So if you put out 1 tourist, you would decide which color in that street you want to score after having just placed umbrellas. And you don't even have to score the same street in which you just placed umbrellas. So you could put out meeples in a different street. So if I put out like umbrellas in the 3rd street down, I could decide to put a tourist in the 1st street, because the meeples there the tourist would get me more points in that street. So you're going to look at how many umbrellas you have of the color you decide, or if you put 2 meeples, you will score for both the umbrellas in that street and get 1 point per umbrella, and then move your score marker ahead. Instead of placing a meeple, you could rest, which means you will take back all the meeples from your flag tokens, and then take the bottom one and put it at the top. So these are going to shift down. So throughout the game, you will be shifting these tokens so that you'll be able to score different colors on different streets when you decide to take the tourist action at the end of your turn. So at the end of your turn, after placing your umbrellas, you can either visit a street with your tourists, or you can rest and bring back all of your tourists to the top of your board and shift those umbrella tokens down one space. So basically that is the game. So you're just going to be collecting umbrella pieces, either paying a coin, gaining a coin, or not paying or losing a coin, depending on where you take your umbrellas from, and then those get refilled immediately. So the way we played it is that whose turn was coming up would get to draw from the bag blindly, of course, and then refill the board. And of course you refill from top to bottom so that you don't get to, manipulate the board so that you get to pick what you want. So that of course has to be done like randomly and following a specific order. So you're just going to place your umbrella pieces on a particular street and then choose to score any tourists if you want to, or rest and bring all of your tourists back up to their resting spaces. And again, for every row you uncover of your mural, you'll get an extra tourist to use. And again, when you use a tourist, you can use one or two. You cannot place a tourist into a spot where there's already one tourist. So if at one point you decided to use just one tourist meeple on a particular flag token, I call them flags, you cannot then place another tourist on that flag token in the next round. You would have to rest and empty it out completely before you could place any more there. So that is essentially the game. So it's very easy to play. You're just trying to score different objectives. I would say it's a pretty random game, because, it's, as someone mentioned when we were playing last night, it's not like you can really plan for your turn, because by the time your turn comes, the market of umbrellas might look completely different. So it's not like you can be like, oh, for my next turn, I'm gonna get that and I'm gonna do this. You can't plan ahead. So you just kind of have to go with the flow. And of course the game end is triggered once someone has filled their entire streets with umbrellas, and then everyone else, I believe, will get one more turn, and then you go to game end scoring. So again, for game end scoring, you're going to score your murals depending on how many pieces you uncovered, and you'll score your shop objectives, and then you will score, I believe that's it. So you would have had points that you were collecting all along from your tourists. So that's really the game. It's quite simple. Not as much strategy in it as I would like. It's kind of like a light game. I can see this being a game that I could play with, like, for example, my mom, who's not a hobby gamer, who I think would enjoy something like this. So not super strategic, but, enjoyable enough that I wouldn't mind playing it again if someone really wanted to play it. I really like these pieces. These pieces are super nice. They're really just really cool pieces. Yeah, and I, like the theme of the game. The theme of the game is good, but if you're looking for something strategic like Harmonies or Azul, this is not going to be it for you. Like, I think some people compare this to Azul. I would not compare this to Azul at all. Azul is way more like strategic in terms of scoring and how you put down stuff. So here scoring is a bit more simple. So yeah, so if that sounds like your kind of game, if you're looking for a lighter game for game nights, maybe like a filler game, this would be a good one to play for that. So yeah, so that is Agueda, City of Umbrellas, and thank you again to 25th Century Games for sending this my way. So let's move on. Another game I played last night, which I do not own, is Coral. So Coral is a 2022 game for 1 to 4 players designed by Tanguy Tabuto, and the art is done by Tatiana Boyko, and is published by Two Tomatoes Games. So this is a block placement game, an abstract strategy game. Each person is going to have blocks, a certain number of coral blocks in their own color, and then, like, I believe one piece matching your neighbor's color on each side. So each person has their own coral color. So like the coral colors are like red, yellow, peach, and purple. The purple ones are actually white blocks with purple on them, but all the other coral pieces, the block colors actually match the coral piece color, because you're also going to have like a little meeple coral token, which you're going to end up placing. So basically you start the game with one center silver block, and on your turn you're going to place your piece in a certain fashion, and then everyone is going to place their coral piece in the first one of the coral pieces in the first turn. So in this particular instance, you probably want to place your opponent's piece, because at the end of the game, you're going to count how many pieces of your coral color are visible. You're going to get 1 point per coral piece of your color, and then whoever has the most points wins. So in this game, you're going to be trying to strategically cover your opponent's coral pieces. So as you're playing on your turn, the first turn, you're placing down one piece, and then once the silver block is completely covered, then players will have to place their coral meeple. And then the coral meeple after that point on will determine where you get to place subsequent coral pieces, whether that's your own or a block that you have remaining of someone else's color. So your coral piece, you can move it. So anytime you place a coral piece, you have to place adjacent to where your coral piece is, your little meeple, but the piece you're placing cannot be higher than that coral meeple token. So you're going to be strategically on your turn either placing a block of yours, or if you still have an opponent's color, of their color, and you're going to be moving your coral piece so that you can try to place in different locations. So you can move your coral piece like anywhere, as long as you don't have to jump on your cross another coral piece when moving, or you cannot land on your own coral color. So you can move your coral token in order to strategically then place blocks where you need to. So that's a very basic description of this game. There are ways in which you can actually raise yourself higher. So like, for example, if you're on your coral pieces on a certain block, you can place a block underneath yourself to even raise yourself higher. No one ended up doing that, but basically, you know, you're going to just continue placing blocks and moving your piece in order to place blocks until the game ends, and then at the end of the game, you're just going to count who has the most visible pieces of their coral color, and that person will win. You know, of course, the rules are a little bit more detailed than the way I just presented it, but that's the gist of the game. So, you know, this game, at first I was like, oh, I really want this. So I was really glad that it was the Play Something New game last night at Millennium Games. So we got to play this, basically play a full game of it without having to purchase it or anything. And then we would have the opportunity to win the game at the end of the night or purchase it for 20% off. I was convinced going into this that I would want to purchase this game, but after having played it, I was like, yeah, I don't actually need this in my collection. But it's a very basic game, and for the cost, for the price you're paying for this very basic game, personally, I don't think it's worth it. I think the pieces are super nice. You know, it's a little nice strategic game. It even has a solo mode, so I haven't played the solo mode, but it's not one I can see myself playing over and over again. So in the end, I did not feel the need to have it in my collection. But if you enjoy abstract strategy games, maybe it's one that you would really enjoy. If you love building stuff with blocks, maybe it's a game you would really enjoy. So yeah, so that was Coral. So let's move on. Another game I played last night, which I do not own, is Let's Go to Japan, which is a 2024 game for 1 to 5 players, designed by Josh Wood. And there's a bunch of artists whose names I would probably butcher, but I absolutely love the artwork in this game. So, you know, kudos to them for being very good at what they do. And it's published by AEG Games, Alderock Entertainment Group. So this is a closed drafting, set collection, simultaneous action selection game. So in this game, you're going to have one long board, and you're basically planning a vacation to Japan. So if you've ever heard the designer speak about creating this game, he had planned a trip to Japan, which was then postponed or canceled due to COVID, the pandemic. So he created a game out of planning his trip to Japan, which is very cool, by the way. So this game, I was really struggling with this game with the cards because I feel like there's a huge luck element. So everyone is going to draw a certain number of cards in a given round, you know, which is displayed on the round tracker. So the round tracker will say, okay, draw one Kyoto card and one Tokyo card. The cards are different colors and they all look the same on the back. So they're all, the Tokyo colors, I believe, are pink, and all the Kyoto ones, I believe, are blue, or maybe I have them mixed up. It's one or the other. And sometimes you'll get a neutral colored card. So all the backs will look the same, but when you flip it over, sometimes it'll be like a beige color, which is neutral. This is important because as you're planning your vacation, you're going to need to account for traveling between cities. So every person is going to start with one train token. So you're going to place down, when you draw 2 cards, you're going to place one and then give one to your neighbor, and it'll indicate which neighbor you're giving it to in that round. So it could be to the neighbor to your left or to the right, and you're going to put it face down on their board. So you're placing down a card, and these cards have different symbols, and at the beginning of the game, randomly selected, you would place symbols on each day of the week. So if you collect 3 of those symbols on your cards, you would then get a bonus, basically. So you would basically get a bonus of like maybe getting another train token. You could get a walk card, which I never walked, so I'm not going to really be able to explain that too well. You could move ahead on your mood tracker. So there's different bonuses you can get depending on the number of symbols you match in that particular day of the week. On your board. So you, once you have 3 cards in a day of a week, you're going to basically check for which bonus you will get. So these cards have symbols at the top, which indicates, you know, the bonuses that you're going to be getting, but also you're going to move your pieces at the end of the game to indicate how many points you will get. And then at the bottom of each card, there's going to be a scoring objective. So when you place a card into a day of a week, so for example, let's suppose I placed a card onto Tuesday. Now I want to place another card onto Tuesday. I mean, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that I can then decide whether I want to place that card underneath the card that's already there or on top. And then the third card I place, I can now decide if I want to place it underneath the card that is currently on top or on top of that card. You cannot, I don't know if you can place it all the way at the bottom in that instance. I cannot remember exactly, because I didn't even take a look at the rule book, to be honest. The game was explained to me. So at the end of the game, you're going to have all these days of the week, and some of them might even have 4 cards if you manage to collect a walking bonus, which again, I didn't do, so I can't explain that too well. So then you're going to look at the scoring, and you're going to score starting from the start of the week going to the end. So you're going to start, I believe it starts at Monday, and I think it ends at Saturday. So you're going to look and see if you met the scoring objective by looking at that particular day of the week if you're in the beginning of the week. But as you continue on, you'll get to look at all the previous days to see if you have those symbols. And you're going to be keeping track of your symbols on this kind of score tracker kind of thing. And you're going to be keeping track of your mood. So anytime there is like a red arrow pointing to the left, you'll move your mood tracker to the left. Anytime it points to the right, and a green arrow, you'll move it to the right. So you could gain or lose points depending on your mood at the end of your trip. So yeah, so you're just matching different icons for the different kinds of things you want to do on this trip, whether that's eating, shopping, visiting natural places, and so on. I was really struggling with this game. I felt like I was not getting the symbols that I really wanted, and then having to keep track of traveling. In the end, I managed to get all the train tokens I needed. So again, let's suppose in one day you are in Kyoto, but in the next day you're in Tokyo. You're going to need a train token to go from Kyoto to Tokyo. There may be instances where you have 2 cities in one day. So you might have Kyoto and Tokyo in one day. So you'll need a train token to indicate. So anytime you switch between days or within one day from Kyoto to Tokyo, you need a train token. And if you don't have a train token to switch between those cities, you will lose 2 points. So that is essentially the game. It's a vacation planning game in which you're placing cards. It's completely random. That's the part I really don't, obviously this kind of a game needs a random element, like the cards you draw. It's a drafting game, but if you get really sucky cards, like, you're just out of luck. Like, you can't really do anything about it. And, throughout the game, you're going to be giving cards to your opponents, so you're getting their leftover cards, and at certain points in the game, you're going to have to draw from one of those leftover cards that they gave to you and put one of those down. So, so it's really, kind of luck dependent based on what cards you get. And if you just get really crappy cards, you're going to suck at this game. And it's due to no fault of your own, really. But again, I absolutely love the artwork in this game. I was a huge fan of the artwork. Like, if I could just get art prints with some of that artwork. Like, I love Japan themed games, and I would really love to visit Japan someday. So for that reason, I wouldn't mind having this game in my collection, but I'm fine with a friend having it because, again, I just, you know, I was struggling a bit and I just found it a little bit frustrating. But yeah, you know, I'm glad I finally got to play Let's Go to Japan because AEG doesn't send me review copies anymore after giving a couple of their games bad reviews. I don't know if that's the reason. There could be some other reason, but there are a number of AEG games which I culled very easily because I was not a fan. So yeah, but I did enjoy this game. Not enough that I would want to add it to my collection unless they want to send me a review copy, then I can just admire the artwork because it's really beautiful. So yeah, so that was Let's Go to Japan. So let's move on. So let's go to games that I have received or purchased. So I already showed a couple that were new arrivals, which were Cities and Agueda, City of Umbrellas. So those were some new arrivals in terms of review copies that I received. Another game I received, which I don't even know if I should show it because it doesn't contain any rules. So I have no idea how to play it. Someone had reached out to me on Twitter asking if they could send me their game Breaker Blocks. So it's a little bag filled with all kinds of blocks in them of different colors that have different symbols on them, but there is no set of rules. So I have no idea how to play this. So I'm just going to write back to them and be like, okay, so I have all these blocks, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. So I'm not really even gonna show you the rest of the blocks because I have no idea how that plays. Another game I received recently is my production copy of a game that I had covered on Kickstarter, and I don't even remember when I covered this, but it's called, I believe, Finding Anastasia. So honestly, I opened it up just to see the components and so I could show you guys, but I think I'm gonna give away this game, or just, I don't think I'm gonna end up playing this. If I remember correctly, it was kind of like a deduction, a hidden roll game, if I remember correctly, but I just don't see myself playing this, to be honest. Maybe my little sister might want it. She's a huge Anastasia fan, and I can see her. She's always like, even though, you know, she's, older, she still really enjoys like princessy stuff and stuff like that. So maybe I'll just give it to her. I don't know. But it comes with a nice play mat. And just a bunch of different stuff. It comes with like this teacup, and I just put a bunch of different player pieces in the teacup. So just, I don't even know what that's supposed to be, but just a bunch of different player pieces I stuck into this like teacup. This is melamine, so it's not gonna break, so not fragile, so that's fine. There's like different player envelopes, so you're going to like have, you know, just keeping some cards in your own player envelope. These, you know, feel just kind of like nice, kind of like not fully cardstock, but like just heavier paper. And then there's just a bunch of different cards and stuff, and there's some gems. So I'll just show you some of the cards, but I won't go into too much detail because, again, I don't think I'm going to keep this, but just some different cards. And there are some expansions, so I don't know if I'm showing you expansions or the regular playing cards. And then there's like these kind of clue cards that have like different kinds of symbols and stuff on them. So yeah, and there's some gems in this bag. So I don't really think it's a game I'm gonna see myself playing again. I don't even remember how it plays. I think I just remember it being some kind of a deduction game. It comes with some extra expansions and stuff like that because it's the deluxe version. And this deluxe version, like they really went all out for this deluxe version because it also comes with a folded space insert made specifically just for this game. Like, what? Like, wow. Like, that is like really something. Like, you know. So yeah, and it comes like this. Like, they made it so it's like canvas where you can hang it up, which I would not recommend doing because I feel like these cardboard boxes are never strong enough to really hang on a wall like that. But yeah, I don't see myself keeping this, so I'm probably just gonna give it away. If my little sister doesn't want it, I'll see if any of my Ko-fi backers want it. Cannot see that happening because the Ko-fi backers I have left are all, you know, they're all grown men, and I can't see them wanting to play Finding Anastasia. So in which case maybe I'll just donate it to FlagCon. I don't know. So yeah, so that is Finding Anastasia. So that arrived. So let's just go into games that I am backing. So I actually ended up caving in and backing a game that I was kind of on the fence about because of how expensive it is, but I just could not resist in the end. So I am backing Apotha Bakery. It just looks super cute, but it's super expensive because I'm backing it at the all-in level. So Apotha Bakery, the Culinary Alchemist. So at the all-in level, it's 84 pounds, which ends up being like $100 some. And then on top of that, it's another 20 some pounds of shipping, but just looks super adorable, like something I would really enjoy. So I'll leave a link for it below. I don't know how much time is left. Let's see. So it has 6 days to go, and it's raised over $609,000. So it's got over 6,000 backers, 6,603 backers. Yeah, so this is one game that I decided I want, and I don't know if I would be able to get a review copy of it because it seems like it's a first-time publisher, Lux Lupo Games. So I'm just going to click on their profile. So yeah, it's first created, first backed. So, you know, there is that kind of risk spending this much money on a game from a first-time creator, especially because Black Box Adventures has totally screwed everyone over. So let me just go on a little rant about them because, as I've mentioned before in many videos, I had backed Adventures in Neverland. I was the #2 backer on that campaign. A good friend of mine was the #1 backer. We were both racing for #1 in that campaign, and now there's been numerous articles. I think there's even been like some kind of an interview done or something like that exposing them as frauds. You know, they've been sending us updates for years, the same update. Oh yeah, it's been manufacturing. Oh, we're working on a playmat, which no one asked for, blah, 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 blah. Asked them for a refund. They finally responded to me saying, oh, we can't refund your credit card because your credit card changed. So give us your PayPal address, which I did. And then they, of course, didn't refund me. So I'm just going to keep on pestering them. But now with this article being released and them getting a lot of heat for, you know, being exposed as frauds, which a lot of people think they are, scammers, yeah, I don't think I'll be getting that money back. So that really, really sucks. I'm just really upset with myself for having backed that game because #1, it's not even the kind of game I typically play. It's not even the kind of game I typically enjoy, like storytelling adventure games. I really backed it because of the theme, Peter Pan. Like, you know, having grown up and being a fan of Peter Pan, I was just a fan. So that's why I ended up backing it. But now I'm just really, really kicking myself for having backed that game. And just really, yeah, just a huge regret. So I know it's kind of, you know, a bit of a risk backing from a first-time backer, just hoping they follow through and actually publish this game. So we shall see. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you guys back Apotha Bakery from, you know, would you back a game from a first-time creator, first-time backer? Let me know what you think. So yeah, so I'm backing that. And of course, I'm still backing Ada's Dream at the pledge manager level, which has 11 days to go if you guys are interested, and it's raised over $117,000, which pretty impressive. 1,600 backers. That is a game I can see myself playing over and over again. As I've mentioned before, I kind of think of it as Sancore, but an easier to set up game than Sancore and easier to understand. But if Sancore seems like the kind of game you enjoy, which is kind of felt like a lot of mini games in one big game, then I think you would enjoy Ada's Dream a lot. And I really love the theme of Ada's Dream. I absolutely love some of the stretch goals they've unlocked are really cool too. Like there's going to be debossing on the board, which is going to be super cool. So really looking forward to getting my production copy of Ada's Dream someday, which I know won't be for like a year, but still looking forward to it. So those are my new arrivals and what I am backing. So let's move on. So no major updates. I guess Origins is happening right now. Of course, I'm not there. I've never been to Origins. I've never been to Gen Con, have no plans of going to either of those. So let's talk about FlagCon. So FlagCon is a convention which I'm helping to organize yet again on the organizing committee. So, you know, FlagCon is a convention which takes place in Ithaca, New York, and it's going to be happening the first weekend of November. I will leave a link below. Tickets are available. You should definitely come. It's going to be super fun. Ithaca, I've talked, you know, so much about Ithaca and what an amazing place it is. You know, I think it's a really fantastic place for a convention, especially in the autumn, because it's such a great city with so much natural beauty, so many amazing places to eat. It's a very walkable downtown area. I cannot, sing enough praises about Ithaca. I absolutely love it. So if you want to attend a convention in a really great city, which, in a smaller convention where you'll get to play a lot of games, then definitely come out to FlagCon. So it's going to be a 3 full day convention, just like PAX Unplugged, 3 full days. It's going to be held in the new convention center downtown, a much bigger space. It's going to be freaking awesome. So you should definitely purchase tickets and come to FlagCon. And I will hopefully be hosting some events again, like I did last year. Last year I hosted events. So I taught people 3 Ring Circus and Moon. And I also played Kalimala with a couple of friends. This game right here, in fact, when I was at FlagCon last year. So this year I'm trying to decide which games I want to demo for people and teach. So I haven't decided yet, but that's also open. So if you're someone who wants to teach others games and play games, you can sign up to teach a game and sign up for an event as well. And I believe you might be able to get a discount on your ticket if you do that. So yeah, so I need to figure out which games I want to demo while I'm at FlagCon. I really want to just play games which I really just have fun playing and just really enjoy playing. So maybe not huge table hogs, maybe things that won't take up a lot of time, but just something that I would really have fun playing. Maybe cities, maybe I'll demo cities. so who knows, we'll see. Before FlagCon even happens, Essen will happen. So I'm hoping to go to Essen again this year. I do have some vacation days left. So with my new job, I don't get as many vacation days as I did with my legal aid job. I still call it my new job, even though I've been there since the end of November now. But yeah, my legal aid job, I had 5 weeks of vacation each year because, legal aid did not pay as much. So in order to compensate for the lower pay, we would get a lot of vacation time, which was super nice. But this new job, I am paid much better, and so I have fewer vacation time. So it balances out, I guess. I was rudely interrupted by a phone call. Oh dear. So anyway, I was talking about my vacation time. So, it balances out in the end, I guess. More money, which I definitely need, although my house is a money pit and I just keep on having to spend more and more money on my house. And recently I was told that the foundation in my garage needs to be fixed because it is crumbling. So that was very bad news because I can only imagine that's going to cost me an arm and a leg. So yeah, I probably should not be spending as much money on board games because that really is going to cost me an arm and a leg. I cannot imagine how much it costs to replace foundation in a building. So yeah, not fun. So yeah, I should probably really start watching how much I spend. But yeah, I'm still hoping to go to Essen though. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to happen for sure. I'm really hoping I get to go, but who knows? Who knows for sure? So yeah, so that's just me rambling on about conventions and my finances. So let's move on. So last night at game night, I was talking to a friend of mine and somehow we got on the topic of things that my friend, finds annoying about other people. And I can't remember exactly what the term was, but there was, I was like, oh, so, do I have anything about me that annoys you? And he stayed silent. And I was like, okay, well, there must be something then because he's not answering. So clearly there's something about me that irritates him or bothers him. So finally I managed to get it out of him. And, I think what we came to the conclusion is it's me rambling on about other people in the board game industry in my videos. So he ended up saying that, yeah, it kind of, it makes me look petty that I still talk about people who wronged me in the past when they're not actively speaking about me. And that is true. They're not actively speaking about me. They're not actively harassing me or bullying me like they did in 2021, which is, when I dealt with so much of it. Though I did deal with some of it a few months ago when that person, David Levitt, mentioned my name when I had nothing to do with what he was talking about. And then again, I started getting a lot of heat and shit from these people. But for the most part, they're all silent. But you know what? Why I think they're silent? I think they're silent because in the end, they know I'm right. So back in 2021, when I was labeled as dangerous for speaking up for Palestine, now there's a genocide going on and all these people, what are they going to say? Oh yeah, Sarah was wrong back then and she's wrong now. Like, these people did a fundraiser for Palestinian children. Like, are they seriously going to come out and say, yeah, we still, think Sarah was in the wrong for speaking up for Palestine? Like, maybe they do. Maybe they think I was wrong in the way I brought it up. Maybe they think I was wrong in the way that I released a recording to show how Helena Kappel is a Zionist. I don't know. I don't know what's going through these people's heads. I'm not in their minds. I can't, say exactly what they're thinking, or why they're thinking it. But I know I was on the right side of history in 2021 when I spoke up for Palestine, and I know I'm on the right side of history now. Maybe I should stop pointing out that they're hypocrites and Zionist shills. Maybe I should stop doing that, because maybe my friend is right. Maybe it makes me look petty every time I call them Zionist shills. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. You tell me. Do you think I'm petty for calling these people Zionist shills every time I call them Zionist shills? Because, they're still supporting a Zionist publisher. They're still supporting their Zionist friends in this industry while, claiming to care about Palestine this year, when 3 years ago they did not care. 3 years ago it was, shut Sarah down, label her as dangerous so that we can continue to support our Zionist friend who doesn't care that Palestinian babies are being killed. If you were ever on the right side of history but then were treated as though you were on the wrong side of history, I think you would understand how I feel. And I'm not saying that what happened to me rises to this level, but for example, like Black people in America, who were, had to deal with segregation and would talk about how segregation is wrong. And back then, if there were any people who were like, no, the segregation should exist, imagine how that Black person feels knowing that they were on the right side of history, saying that, no, we're all human. We should all, get to be treated as equals. Like skin color does not matter. Like skin color is, you don't have any control over the melanin in your skin. Like, it's just ridiculous to be judged based on your skin color. Like, no one should be judged based on their skin color. No one should be judged based on which country they were born in or anything like that. Like, you have no control over your ethnicity. You have no control over your skin color. So these people, Black people were on the right side of history speaking up against segregation, whereas many people said, no, like, we're going to continue to segregate. And then years later, like, of course they're going to be angry. Of course they're going to want, justice for what happened to them. Again, what happened to me does not rise to that level. I mean, we're just talking about board game drama, but 3 years ago, I was on the right side of history speaking up for Palestinians. I was on the right side of history speaking up against Zionists. And to this day, these people will not admit that I was on the right side of history speaking up against a Zionist publisher. Zionists are the Nazis of today, whether or not they want to admit it. So look at what's happening currently in Palestine. Now you have Netanyahu basically giving a press conference about how they're going to start opening up, like registration, not register, I don't know what the term is, but they're basically going to create settlements in Gaza. He literally was talking about creating new settlements in Gaza. So that was the plan all along. If that is not clear to you, I do not know what to say to you at this point, because it has been clear since before October 7th, these people have made their genocidal intent super clear time and time again. Officials in Israel have said time and time again how they want to eliminate all the Palestinians, and people are still confused about what's going on. People are still confused whether this is a genocide or not. Like, if this many Jews were killed, people would be calling it a genocide. If over 40,000 Jews were being killed right now, people would be calling it a genocide. However, because it's over 40,000 Palestinians who have been killed, people are still trying to claim it's not a genocide. It is in fact a genocide. It is an ethnic cleansing, and the intent has always been clear. You now have Netanyahu and people openly, not even trying to hide it, openly talking about settling Gaza and creating settlements. You have, while all of this has been going on in the West Bank, we have seen Palestinians being killed, we have seen Palestinians being imprisoned, and settlers going in and taking homes, more and more homes in the West Bank. And there is no fucking Hamas in the West Bank, okay? There is no Hamas in the West Bank. So that whole, justification that, oh, it's a war against Hamas completely falls flat on its face when you look at the West Bank and everything that is going on in its totality. And this has been going on for over 70 years. So if you're still confused about what is happening in Palestine, I just do not know what to say to you. And of course I'm going to be angry. Of course I'm going to be angry as someone who is of Middle Eastern descent, who was labeled as dangerous 3 years ago for speaking up for Palestine in this industry, for speaking up against Zionism, which is the evil of this world, 3 years ago. And everyone wanted to shut me down as being crazy, as being, I was actually labeled as crazy by some people. I was labeled as having mental issues to silence me. I was labeled as being dangerous in order to silence me. So yeah, maybe I am petty for calling these people Zionist shills, but that's what they are. They are Zionist shills, and until they prove me otherwise, until they prove to the world otherwise, the board gaming world, that's what they are, and that's just a fact. Like, it's a fact. Like, if you're accepting Zionist money, if you are accepting blood money, you are a Zionist shill, you are a sellout, and you do not, in fact, care about all human rights like you claim. And if it makes me, if people think I'm petty for saying that time and time again, then so be it. I guess I'm petty. But I'm going to point out the hypocrisies and the double standards in this industry for as long as I exist, as long as they exist, as long as these double standards and hypocrisies exist in this industry, I will point it out. Because someday, maybe these people, maybe the industry as a whole will, start to shift and change. Do I think that's actually going to happen? No, because Muslims and Arabs are going to be the enemy in this world, considered the number one enemy in this world for a long time to come, I think. So I think, opinions on this are not going to change. In the near future. I don't think in the near future it's going to be safe for these people to say, yes, Zionists are the Nazis of today. Zionists are evil, even though they are. Zionists are evil. Zionists are the Nazis of today. But I don't think these people are going to say that because they're still going to be afraid of being labeled anti-Semitic. But I'll continue to point out their hypocrisies, and I'll continue to point out the double standards that exist because, yeah, I am pissed. I am pissed at these people. I think that they are hypocrites. I think they are shills. So yeah, maybe I am petty. Maybe it does make me seem petty for saying that. But I also do really care about the Palestine cause, and I think I've made that abundantly clear. It's something I've cared about for a very long time. In fact, recently there was some obituaries which were reported for Noam Chomsky. So it was reported that Noam Chomsky had died, and I was very sad, and I posted on Twitter how sad I was that Noam Chomsky had died. When I was an undergraduate student, I organized an event and invited him to speak personally. So, I met him in person. I had my photo taken with him. I've been a huge fan of Noam Chomsky for many, many years. I've cared about the Palestine cause for many, many years. As I've said, this is something I've cared about since high school. This is not a fad for me. This is something I cared deeply about 3 years ago, which got me blacklisted by so many publishers. This is the reason why I did my graduate degree in Middle Eastern Studies. One of the reasons. The other reason was, of course, my deep interest in Iran. As someone who is of Middle Eastern descent, as someone who is Muslim, as someone who cares deeply about that part of the world, it matters to me. And am I angry? Yes, I'm angry. And so many people like me are going to be angry because, what I've seen in other industries, like, for example, just regular social media influencers, like lifestyle influencers. A number of them have been canceled because they refuse to speak up about Palestine. Is that going to happen in this industry? Are people who are Zionist shills, going to get canceled in this industry? No. Like, our family plays games. No one says shit to them about accepting blood money from Helena Kappel and Burnt Island Games and Kids Table Board Gaming, and I do call it blood money. If you are a Zionist and any bit of your money goes to support the Israeli occupation forces or to support the state of Israel, then yeah, I would consider that blood money. So if you are earning money from selling board games and then you are someone who is supporting the selling of those board games, which then allow that person to donate money to Israel or to the Israeli occupation forces, I consider that to be blood money. That's why people, boycott various industries. People like me who care about, eradicating Zionism from this world, which is evil, which is like basically the Nazis of today. We boycott companies which we know have strong Zionist ties and whose money supports the Israeli occupation forces. So it is very near and dear to my heart, and that is why I ramble on and on every week about it. And yes, I know I'm just basically talking into air at this point because no one listens to me. I know that. I know that I have no clout in this industry. So when people like Eric Lang say I'm clout chasing, no, I'm not clout chasing. All it ever does is get me blacklisted. Like, how is it clout chasing for me to talk about Zionism and how evil it is when the industry as a whole does not give a shit? Like, there is no clout to be had by me speaking about this time and time again. Like, these people are just ridiculous, and maybe I'll stop at some point pointing out the ridiculousness of these people and what hypocrites they are. But we're coming up on a year of this genocide. In October it will be a year since this began. So just really, really just upsetting. It's just, all I can do is donate money. All I can do is raise awareness and hope that, my words reach people who they may not have reached before. And maybe someone will wake up one day and realize, yeah, you know what? 40,000 people killed. We've seen countless babies beheaded by bombs in Gaza. We've seen babies who've like literally, we've seen children, like literally there are videos with children whose skulls are ripped open, but they haven't died yet. They're crying. You can like literally see their brains coming out of their head with so many burns on their body, and they're still in the process of dying. Like if those images do not stir anything within you, then you're not human. You're not human, and you don't view these people as human then all the dehumanization propaganda has gotten to you if you cannot feel empathy for the Palestinian people when seeing images like this. So it is very upsetting, and yeah, I am very upset about it. It's something that I, haven't stopped thinking about, or because, I want to bear witness to what is going on. I acknowledge all the privileges I have in this world. I acknowledge that I am a homeowner. I acknowledge that I have a roof over my head where I feel safe. I acknowledge that I have food to eat. I acknowledge that I have a job which, supports me and sustains me. I acknowledge that I have a beautiful backyard, which so many people would love to have. Like, I have a gazebo in my backyard and a pond. Like, how lucky am I? Like, I have so many privileges which I acknowledge. So I need to bear witness to the atrocities that are happening in the other parts of the world and acknowledge them and do what I can to raise awareness about them. Do what I can to donate whenever I'm able to, because I am privileged, and it's important I believe it's important for everyone to have empathy for those who are not as privileged as them, and to try to raise awareness. That's when I'm in London, I always try to make sure to carry spare change, like pounds, in my pocket. So whenever I see a homeless person, I donate, I give them money, and I stop and talk to them. Because as someone who was a housing attorney, I also realized that, it's people who become homeless don't necessarily become homeless because they're, doing drugs, because they're drinking or whatever. But people can become homeless for a variety of reasons due to no fault of their own. So it's important to me to treat homeless people that I see on the streets as human and actually talk to them. And I think it's very important for us as humans to have empathy for others, for all living creatures. And that's why I care so much about animals when I see them. And that's why I always encourage people, when you see an animal in need, do something, because don't think that someone else is going to do something, because no, you are someone. If everyone had the mindset that, oh, I'm going to leave this suffering animal because someone else will come along and do something, well, the next person who comes along is going to think the same thing. And then the person after that, and the person after that. So you are someone who can do something. So if you have the ability to do something, you should. And everyone has the ability to do something to help an animal in need when they see it. If you can't feed that animal, you can raise awareness about it. You can inform someone about it. If you see an injured animal, you can call someone if you are not able to take care of that animal yourself, and do something about it. There's always, always, always something you can do. Even with homeless people, like if you don't have money to give, you can always just stop and talk to them. Just say hi, just, make them feel human. Like there's always something that you can do. Yeah, I know I've gone on a total tangent here. I don't even know how I got onto this topic, but it's always been important to me to raise awareness and just try to treat other humans as humans, and animals as, try to help animals when I can. So maybe I do come across as petty. I don't know. I guess I don't care at this point. I've been doing this for so long now. I've been rambling on and on for so long now, and calling people in this industry hypocrites and Zionist shills for so long now. I think I'm just, it's just falling on deaf ears anyway. Like, who's listening to me anyway? I don't know. So anyway, I guess I'm done rambling for this week. So the update for this week is that, they've announced that they are going to build settlements in Gaza. So you know what the intent was all along. So so there you go. So let's move on. So this week's question of the week is inspired by cities. What is your favorite city building game? So for me, it would be, there's so many city building games, so it would really be hard to choose right now. But I mentioned the Princess of Florence earlier. This would be an easier game to play than the Princess of Florence, so I'd probably reach for this more often. There's a bit of a trickiness in the Princess of Florence with the different prestige and money tracks and so on, and the way that those kind of work. But the bidding aspect is interesting in the Princess of Florence. I don't know. There's just so many city building games in existence. So give me your top 3 city building games. I cannot think of which other ones I have at the moment. Those are the only 2 that come to mind right now. So let me know your top 3 city building games, and until next week,